Now, I skipped over this one before, but just my hunter. Now, this one is really very straightforward. It's just beasts, and then beasts. And then I continue that along with beasts. These, I'm taking one of these out. There's no reason for me to have this in here. No, you know what? I'm taking both out. Now, Acidic Slime Ooze is a great card. However, this deck is really big on beast synergy, and I have a beast alternative. So, looking at the 1-drops, we've got Arcane Shot, just some nice early removal. Stone Tusk Boar, a nice early lead. You know, 1 for 1 with charge. Works for magic. And Timberwolf, this thing is huge in this deck. And it needs to be dealt with immediately. Otherwise, you know, this will just run away with the game. This will just push my creatures over the edge, and you know, this has actually won me a good few games, and I'll talk about that in a sec. Yeah, Call Pet. This, I put this in as an experiment, and it works pretty reasonably well. You know, with so many beasts in the deck, this usually hits one. Direwolf Alpha, you know, it's a beast and it's a buff, so this comes up. Although frankly, I only have one, and I'm probably gonna add a second. I have 2 Haunted Creepers. This, it's alright at first, then I get it killed, and I can just keep up the pressure. What really makes getting it killed a lot easier, and I'm gonna jump ahead a little, Houndmaster. I play this after playing Haunted Creeper. Oh, you thought you were just gonna avoid this? Well, guess what? He has Taunt now. So, this is a good way of just messing with people. Iron Beak Owl, you know, great utility. Loot Hoarder, I'm actually planning on taking this out. You know, it's a good card, it's just, this deck doesn't need it. You know, the few occasions where that actually draws me some extra cards doesn't really merit distracting from the general synergy. Animal Companion, this thing is great because all the stuff you get is pretty good for this cost. Kill Command, you know, usually 5 damage for 3 mana. And even when it's not, 3 damage for 3 mana, there's worse things you could be doing. Unleash the Hounds. Now this, there have been so many times where I play Unleash the Hounds, and the opponents just thought, oh, well, that'll be alright. Timberwolf. They all get +1 attack. Raid Leader. They get another +1 attack, and all of a sudden, wait a minute, I'm not so okay with this anymore. Like, this, it falls flat against a deck that doesn't do a lot with creatures, but there's not a lot of those, you know. This game is very much board presence based. You know, Raid Leader, it's a decent cost whole field buff. Multi-shot just has some nice removal. Houndmaster, like I said, I can give my stuff a very nice boost and taunt. So this puts in a good bit of work. Got Tundra Rhino. This I'm honestly not so happy with. You know, it's not that it's necessarily bad or anything. It's just that I usually don't care. You know, it's usually 5 mana for just a 2/5 with taunt. Not taunt, with charge. And usually, by this point, I'm already doing a lot of damage with all my other stuff. Now, Savannah Highmane. This is something I love using the Houndmaster on. Because Houndmaster and that, it is pretty terrifying. So, you know, it's just a general synergy of beasts with beasts, and more beasts. So, it actually does pretty well for me. Now this is my other mage deck. It's a very light mech mage. It's really barely even a mech mage deck. I don't actually do a lot that uses mage cards. I kind of go with a very similar shell to what I usually have with the one Warlock deck I was talking about. Got the Clockwork Gnomes and the Cogmasters for a nice early presence, Annoyatrons, Mech Warpers, Micro Machines, Demolishers, Harvest Golem, Enhanso Meccano, Jeeves. I did work in Piloted Shredder because it's a 4 damage, 3 health for 4 mana, and it replaces itself when it dies. And more often than not, what it replaces itself with is something along the lines of a 3/2. So this is definitely worth it. Got the Blingtron, which is actually a good bit better in this deck where I'm not bleeding myself out in any way. Mimiron's Head, you know, just as a nice bomb. And I have the Piloted Sky Golem, you know, decent amount of damage, plus he replaces itself. And as my biggest bomb, I have the Clockwork Giant. As for the actual mage cards, I have Arcane Explosions, Frostbolts, Arcane Intellect, Polymorph, and of course the mage's normal burn. Basically, whereas the other deck just focuses on higher impact plays, this one is more about kind of going a mid-range with it, keeping the other person's field to a minimum while I'm building up mine. So this, it has a bit of an iffy record, you know. I'm sure if I put some real thought into this, I could find some stuff that's not really working. Like Clockwork Giant practically never comes up. You know, it's just, I don't put that much effort into this one as much as the War Machine deck.